I'm pregnant for the first time with my husband's baby, but his daughter from his first marriage is ruining my life, and I don't know what to do. Posted by you/second baby. I'm sure my husband doesn't even know that Reddit exists, but I'm sure we have friends who go on this sub, so I'm using a throwaway for this one. I feel like the worst person in the world for typing this out to begin with, but I need some reassurance or practical ways to handle this situation. For backstory, my husband, 36M, and I, 26F, are very much in love. We met over 5 years ago through work and got married last year. It was my first marriage and his second. We recently bought a house together and decided it was a good time to start a family. After months of trying, I am now pregnant with a beautiful, wrinkly fetus. I'm about 5 months along at the moment, and though I feel a bit more emotional and craving crazy than I used to be, I still feel rather healthy and good about myself. My husband was supportive and took very good care of me, until Ava, 7F, not her real name, came into our lives. Ava is from my husband's first marriage. He was married to a kind woman who, after only 4 years of marriage, grew bored of him and cheated on him with many men. When my husband found out, he went through her cell phone on a gut feeling. He was livid and devastated. She had been sending and receiving nudes for months. Despite this, he wanted to work things out, but she had already moved in with another man, taken Ava with her, and served him divorce papers along with a restraining order. She also sent Ava to therapists, trying to brainwash her into thinking my husband was a neglectful father. My husband took this sack of crap to court to fight for joint custody but ultimately lost. He can only see Ava a few times a year. Immediately after winning, said sack of crap took Ava and moved to a different city almost 3 hours away with her new man. Since her birth in 2007, my husband has only seen Ava about a dozen times for special occasions or weddings. He technically still has custody of her, but not primary, only on paper. I met my husband when I was 20 and he was 30. He was still in the middle of his divorce and was wrecked from having to pay alimony and child support while getting no closure on his marriage or access to his daughter. We became good friends and hung out often until, about a year into the friendship, we decided to move in together. I needed a roommate, and he needed one because he could no longer support himself living alone. We gradually fell for each other until we were in love, and after his finances were straightened out, he proposed to me. We got married last year, as I mentioned before. Which brings us to now. Long story short, Ava's mother broke it off with yet another man. Word of mouth is that she met someone online who lives in another state and wanted to move in with him. She left Ava with her parents, Ava's maternal grandparents, who live in our city. But her grandparents are old, too old and weak to raise her. They like having their granddaughter around, but they can't help her with homework, get her ready for school, or drive her anywhere. So, one day, Ava literally just showed up on our doorstep, and we've had to readjust our whole lives for her. I've never had so much hatred for a 7-year-old in my life. I feel like crap. Ava is the rudest little girl I've ever met. She has no manners or consideration for anyone. She talks back to her father and gives him attitude. She only smiles and acts loving when she wants something, like new toys or clothes. When she found out she was getting a younger sibling, I let her rub my belly, and instead, she smacked me. She smacked my belly at random times when I walk past her, which makes me livid and drives me to tears. I tell her it's unacceptable to hit anyone, especially her sibling, but she screams that I'm not her mom and that I can't tell her what to do. I told my husband about her behavior and how she acts when he's not around, deliberately making messes that I have to clean, drawing on my paintings and books with markers, refusing to eat my home-cooked meals but demanding pizza and ice cream. Instead of scolding and disciplining her, he placates her and gives her what she wants. His idea of scolding is, "Don't do that again, okay?" It's like he's gone from being a dependable family man to a spineless doormat of a father. I want to send her back to her sack of crap mother. Maybe she'd be better off in foster care, but at this point, I don't care anymore. Is there any way I can deal with this practically? I can't even think straight. I don't want to feel toxic when I'm about to become a mother. I've tried so hard to be a mother figure to this girl, but she treats me horribly. I always walk past her with my hands around my belly in case she strikes me again. If this is how she's going to be, I don't want her to affect my unborn baby. She's already having a profoundly negative effect on my husband. I hate her stupid trashy mother for ripping her away from my husband, denying him access, and then dumping her on her parents, only to abandon her once again when she found a new man. I know Ava is a product of her environment, she has to be, but I don't know what to do at this point. I've never worked with children with behavioral issues, and I never dreamed I'd be the wicked stepmother in the midst of being barefoot and pregnant. My question is, how the hell can I sort this family out without going absolutely mental? I feel like a prisoner in my own home. I didn't sign up for this kind of dysfunction. This is affecting my sanity, my marriage, and my family. Any input or solutions are welcome. Please help. Relevant comments. Commenter. That little girl desperately needs therapy. I know she's awful, but she's been raised poorly and abandoned. She's furious. You guys can be the stable, loving home she needs to grow up normally. Listen, I'm a stepmom. Biomom is a total sack of crap. The kids were like wild animals when I came on the scene 2 years ago, tantruming, destroying things, not listening, serious emotional disturbances. With therapy, love, diligence, and total dedication, their dad, who had sole custody for 2 years until recently, and I have turned those kids into functional human beings. It's made me cry and want to give up at times, but I reminded myself that they needed me. They have a great dad, but he had no idea how to parent at first. He was just escaping from a physically and emotionally abusive woman and trying to keep them safe. He would have anxiety attacks when they threw tantrums. He would let them eat whatever they wanted and do whatever they wanted. I came in, made rules and bedtimes, and taught him that it's okay to be strict, that you must choose your battles but win every single one you choose. They went from eating pizza and mac and cheese every night to eating whatever healthy meal we put in front of them. They went from tantrums and freakouts to deep breathing and apologizing. It takes time, dedication, and a lot of patience, but you have to get him on the same page. You both have to be willing to wait her out until she breaks and realizes you're the boss, and you have to be firm and loving at all times. She needs to feel safe with you. She's a 7-year-old little girl, that's my stepson's age, and he still very much needs me to hold him when he's feeling insecure and anxious, make him feel safe, and know that Daddy and I are 2 people he can trust no matter what, to never, ever let him down. That little girl needs to know that you and your husband will never let her down, and her behavior will improve when she does. She's scared, angry, and abandoned, and nobody has ever taught her how to be a person. You can do that. Update 1 day later. Since I've started walking around with my hands casually on my belly when I'm around Ava, she hasn't been hitting me as much as she used to. This morning, over breakfast, in front of both my husband and me, Ava said, "I hope your baby dies." My husband had been asking her what she thought we should name the baby. We had been trying to include her in the pregnancy, and she responded with nothing. After my husband and I took turns encouraging her, saying, "Come on, you can think of a boy name and a girl name," she told me, "I hope your baby dies." I didn't say anything and let my husband discipline her. But as always, his idea of discipline was simply saying, "You're a big girl, you shouldn't say those things." I pulled him aside into the next room and asked that he be firmer with her, as she had been physically punching me in the belly, and now she was saying she hoped the baby would die. Edit. Thanks for all your responses. I've read through each one of them, and though I couldn't reply to your comments, I really appreciated the input. One poster mentioned that I might be jealous of Ava's existence because she's a reminder that I'm going through my first marriage and first pregnancy with someone who has done it all before. And you know what? I'll admit that does bother me a bit. Having Ava be as difficult and behavioral as she is isn't really helping my feelings, either. That said, not many commenters in my original post mentioned what to do about Ava hitting me on my 5-month pregnant belly. I can say, though, that I've never spoken badly about her bio mom in front of her. If I seem hostile toward Ava, it's probably because she acts so cruelly toward me no matter what I do for her, cooking for her, packing her lunches, picking her up from camp, and even resorts to hitting me. That, I cannot overlook. Sorry if that makes me immature or selfish, but I don't want to surround myself with that kind of negativity, even if it comes from a 7-year-old. I'm going to ask my husband, he's speaking to Ava right now, if I can go stay with my parents for a while, or if not, my sister. I want to finish the rest of my pregnancy in peace and without stress. The best thing for me right now is to protect the baby in my belly. Ava also acts out toward her father, so I'll suggest that this time can be used for them to bond. Temporarily removing myself from the situation might allow my husband some one-on-one time with Ava. Maybe by the time I return home with our new addition, she'll have cooled off a bit, and we can start therapy, as so many of you have suggested. Thanks for your input, Reddit. I appreciated every thought. Relevant comments. Commenter. Don't move out. Seriously, don't. It won't solve the problem and might escalate it when you get back instead. You have her now, whether you want to or not. If you come back with a baby, she won't have any connection to how it has grown, and all the work your husband has put in will be for nothing. It's even harder for a kid to accept a baby that just pops up out of nowhere than to follow the pregnancy and be part of it. If she hits you, contact a counselor and get outside help. Set boundaries, stop coddling her. You don't have to hit or yell at her, but you do have to show her that you won't accept that kind of behavior. Yes, her dad should be the main one raising her, but you're also an adult and part of the family. You have to do your share if things are going to work. You can't expect him to do it all, not if you want Ava to respect your space. Talk to your husband and come up with a game plan. What time is dinner? How are you going to handle her violence? How will you correct her? What do you expect from her? Bedtime, friends, school? Every little thing, make a plan. Take it from someone who used to be Ava: if you flee now and expect things to magically sort themselves out when you get back, you're fooling yourself, like a kid wishing Santa would fix her parents' marriage. Neither fleeing nor Santa will fix the problem. Commenter 2. It's easy for you to say not to move out. You aren't pregnant, getting abused, and living in a household where another member wants your child dead. She needs her sanity and space, and she's right to secure it. Work on Ava can start while she's out of the home. You, me, and any other Redditor cannot forecast what will become of Ava, even with intensive treatment or discipline and routines today. Don't make Op feel bad for securing a more stable environment. Op's response: thank you so much. This is exactly how I'm feeling right now. Commenter 3. I think you're responding immaturely. A 7-year-old hitting your belly is not going to hurt the baby. It's protected by fat and muscle, and it's floating in water. However, if she hits it once it's born, it will hurt the baby. So why is your solution to move out now and move back in when the baby is born? It's illogical and overly dramatic. However, her behavior is atrocious and needs to be stopped. If you want things to get better, you must team up with your husband and seek professional help. If he doesn't want to do that, leave. If you don't want to do that, leave. If you'd rather call attention to all the ways this child is harming you than take action to help her, then do not be surprised when things do not improve. This is a traumatized and helpless human being you are dealing with. Quit running around hollering about how horrid she is and get her some damn therapy. Op's response: she is horrid. We will absolutely be getting her, and our family, therapy. I am not being immature. I'm not trying to be woe is me, but I think I deserve to spend the remainder of my pregnancy in peace and calm. I don't want my temper or my emotions to stress me out and, by extension, my unborn baby. Commenter 4. If Op moved out, I hope she never plans to move back in. This is the end of her relationship with Ava and her husband. I hope to God the husband steps up and starts parenting his child instead of abandoning both of them. Sadly, I think the latter is more likely. Of all the bad behavior I've seen on this board, Op takes the cake. This is appalling. Poor Ava, this little girl needs a mother so badly, and Op is so deluded about what it means to be a mother that she's abandoning Ava in the name of motherhood. I say this as a pregnant mother of one, soon to be two. This garbage about protecting her second child but not her first breaks my heart. Op's response: I am protecting my second child from my first child. I never said I never plan to move back in, I will. I've been through 5 months of stomach punching, death threats, temper tantrums, and highly stressful situations. I only wish to finish my pregnancy in peace. Commenter 5. I usually lurk, so I didn't post on your last thread, which was completely out of hand. Moving out is the right decision. You are heavily pregnant, and people advising you to start an arduous journey, one that may be impossible, of changing Ava are wrong. You have a duty to protect yourself, and that duty goes above and beyond your duty to Ava or the marriage. It's a harsh truth, but with a kid on the way, it's truer than ever. The advice to stay is high on ideals but low on reality. Good for you for getting out. Really take some time to actually enjoy your pregnancy and your life again. Your husband needs a wake-up call, and this will do it. If he gets Ava help, great. If he doesn't, you're already out of the house, keep it that way. Update us months down the road. I apologize for everyone riding high on their morals. You have to manage your life, and I'm glad you chose to protect yourself first. Op's response: thank you for your response. It means a lot. I know it sounds selfish, but I want to put myself and my unborn baby first. I will keep this in mind and provide a response. Second update 6 days later. This will be my final update. Since my last post, we have put Ava into therapy and begun attending marital counseling. Ava is going to therapy twice a week, and my husband and I are attending once a week. I'm glad we managed to get everything out during our very first session, as we now have the remaining sessions to work toward resolving our marriage as well. A lot of my anger has subsided since I moved out. I'm writing this from my parents' home, where I feel safe and relaxed. I've been taking some maternity yoga classes for my own peace, and I think I quite like it. My husband and I talk or text almost every day, and we plan for me to visit our family home once or twice a week to do family activities, as the therapist suggested. I know many of you suggested that I stay in the family home, but the peace I feel now with Peanut, our nickname for the little one, is something I wouldn't trade for anything. I finally feel like I can fully indulge in and experience my pregnancy. Ava and I did have one last violent fallout before I moved out. I put my hands on Ava when she came in for another swing. This was right after my husband had spoken to her about absolutely no hitting, so I quickly grabbed her wrist. There was no hitting or anything from me, I just grabbed her wrist to restrain her. I told her that I would not tolerate being hit, reminded her of the no-hitting rule, and asked her to stop. She retaliated by swinging her leg up to kick me in the stomach. My God, the willpower it took for me not to slap her across the face was burning, but I managed to walk away. I told her what big trouble she was in for hitting again and immediately brought her dad in, who gave her a stern lecture. This happened a day after her first child therapy session, so my husband and I were relieved that we had already gotten the ball rolling on therapy. He supports me 100% in my decision to move out until the end of my pregnancy. His main issue is that he has no idea what to do with Ava and is afraid she will hate him if he is too hard on her. Remember, he was basically cut out of her life for almost her entire childhood until her bio mom abandoned her. At this point, I told him I was unhappy that he seemed to be bending over backward for Ava while neglecting Peanut. I raised the issue of firm discipline and setting clear rules, and the counselor will help us establish fair house rules. Some of them include no hitting and no name-calling. Eat whatever is put on your plate, dessert will only be served after your meal is finished. Help out with small household chores in exchange for a small allowance. My husband and I both agreed that we would treat Ava fairly and discipline her consistently, and that the same rules for Ava would also apply to our own child. While we know we won't enforce the same rules on a toddler, we feel this is a good foundation to show Ava that household rules exist and that life requires order and discipline, things she's probably not used to. But we're starting that now. We haven't heard from Rent-A-Womb for weeks, not even a single phone call to check on how Ava is handling the transition. We've agreed that she is no longer welcome to intrude in our lives. We will take steps to claim full custody now that she has proven herself to be utterly incompetent. So here I am, resting with my Peanut, surrounded by my parents and sister, full of positive vibes. My husband and I are in marriage counseling, and Ava is in therapy. We plan to take some parenting courses at the local community center, and we will be bringing Ava with us. Maybe being around other kids expecting siblings will help, and some of their enthusiasm will rub off on her. We'll be encouraging her to make friends. Perhaps some playdates are in order? Edit. I've read all the PMs and responses, and I'll do my best to read and reply to each one. A few recurring themes keep coming up, so I'm going to try to clarify my stance. I originally came to this board seeking advice on how to handle the Ava situation. Many commenters suggested therapy and working together with my husband. This allowed me to reflect on my thoughts and process my emotions. This update is for those who requested one and for those who wanted to see how our family ultimately handled the situation. I received the help and advice I needed and chose the path that resonated most with me. I'm moving out until the end of my pregnancy, with my husband's support and blessing. Call me selfish if you want, but as I said in my last post, I'm not sorry for my decision. I don't care whether I'm letting Ava win. We've set ground rules and arranged therapy for her, and now it's time to take care of myself. You don't win anything against a 7-year-old child. If you've ever had a 7-year-old violently punching and kicking your pregnant belly, then you can come talk to me. I don't care if women in some countries have to squat in a minefield to give birth to premature triplets, that's not my reality, and I choose to have a stress-free pregnancy. I know I've had thoughts like I want to slap the crap out of Ava, but I will never lay a hand on her. Yes, I was physically disciplined as a child, punitively and within reason, but I will never hit or beat her. Rent-A-Womb seems like a fitting term for a woman who gave birth and then dragged that child around on a wagon tour to sleep with multiple men, while keeping her away from her biological father and abandoning her when it became inconvenient. I've used Rent-A-Womb since I first met and learned about this woman. She deserves no title of parent or mother. We call uninvolved dads sperm donors, so why not use the female equivalent? It seems appropriate. Many of you have PM'd me, thanking me for my decision to move out. You also grew up in blended families where you were abused by step-siblings while your biological parent was too afraid to discipline them, overlooking the abuse in hopes that it was just a phase. I knew others had experienced similar situations, and I appreciate you reaching out. Thank you for the encouragement. Remember, blended families have very different dynamics from traditional families, and there's no single right way to navigate them. Best of luck to everyone in similar situations. Relevant comments. Commenter. I had almost the exact same situation. My stepson was dropped off by his egg donor when he was 6, and I was 5 months pregnant with my first child with my husband. The egg donor was a casual girlfriend mistake. The child had, and still has, serious emotional problems. Physically and emotionally, he's far behind his peers. He was diagnosed with reactive attachment disorder due to the care he received from pregnancy and birth into early childhood. My stepson is now 10 and still has severe problems. The egg donor became heavily re-involved in his life after we filed for and were granted custody, and she was ordered to pay child support. She has used all kinds of alienation tactics on him. All that aside, if he's left alone with my 3-year-old for even a few minutes, she often gets accidentally hurt. She's old enough to tell me what actually happened, but I strongly caution you to protect your baby. Never leave Ava alone in a room with the baby. I'd enact a no one under 16 holds the baby rule for safety purposes. That way, it's not a personal issue with his daughter, it's a blanket rule to keep your baby in more mature arms. Children who have been maltreated, like your stepkid, are unpredictable and emotionally unstable. Your husband is going to have a tendency to parent from a place of guilt and possibly inappropriate leniency with her. Make sure you're on the same page and consistent, or your family simply will not function. I wish you all the best, and I hope counseling helps. Commenter 2. I have sent up a private message about a lot of this, but there is something I need to say to everyone in this thread. You are not experts. It is unlikely that you have much experience with child psychology, so stop pretending you know everything about what is going on here. Ava's moral reasoning is ruled by punishment versus reward. Punishment is very important, but reward is even more crucial. Many studies demonstrate that rewarding good behavior is essential in changing a child's general behavioral outlook. A very, very strict punishment/reward system needs to be used in this case, and every little thing, from her words to the smallest behaviors, needs to be punished or rewarded accordingly. Charts, displayed rules, and clear expectations are key to the recovery and continued development of this child. Just hitting her back isn't going to solve anything here and could risk making the problem worse. Also, can everyone please back the F off with the hate? At the end of the day, Ava is a child. She did not choose this life. She did not choose to be born to a woman who did not love her. She did not choose to grow up without love or boundaries. This behavior is the result of abuse, and Reddit needs to stop acting like hitting the kid back will solve everything. She is emotionally damaged, and her moral and ethical development is stunted, and none of that is her effing fault. P.S. Well done, Op, for removing yourself from the house. Letting her win is not worth having a stillbirth or preemie due to stress. People who think you should have stayed clearly have no idea what stress does to pregnant women.